Hello. If you've been watching parts 1 and 2, and why on earth wouldn't you, links in the description of course, then when we parted company I was enjoying a leisurely journey along the cut. So this is where we'll pick it up from if you don't mind. I'm really happy that you could make it for this, the third and final part of our journey together. Two-thirds of the way through our trip, and we are now at Larklands, a part of Ilkeston about which it is surprisingly difficult to discover, well, anything. We're now scouting around the perimeter of Ilkeston, past Cotmanhay and on to Langley Mill. Okay, so this is Potter's Lock. Rather unprepossessing, much like the rest I hear you say. Well, maybe not. But if you did, you'd be wrong, for Potter's Lock is a Grade 2 listed building and worthy of note in its own right. Although rebuilds have occurred from time to time, it's not too far off the original to have been noticed by the historians. Built primarily of good old Derbyshire gritstone, of course, but maintained in part in more modern equivalents. Of interest possibly is that its original name was Ilkeston Mill Lock, but who Potter was and why he usurped the Ilkeston Mill as its name, I have absolutely no idea. Lock 71 is Stenson's Lock, and it is from here that the first glimpses of Bennerley Viaduct are to be seen. Links to my previous videos in the description. In case you were wondering about the lock numbering sequence not making any obvious sense, they are continuation of the numbers used on the Grand Union Canal, which crosses the River Trent at Trent Lock and continues as the Erewash Canal. So there. It was from this area that, until 1973, the twin marvels of Bentley Viaduct and 40 Bridges, the Giltbrook Viaduct, both marked here in red, could be seen, both having been built by the Great Northern Railway, both amazing and huge structures spanning the countryside as a salute to the prowess of Victorian engineering. Anyone who's been following this channel will know Bentley Viaduct was reopened for pedestrians on Saturday, January the 15th, 2022. 40 Bridges was unfortunately demolished in 1973 to make way for Toad Road, or Shiloh Way as it is officially known. Of the many popular sites along its banks, the Erewash Canal boasted many pubs. Pubs which, back in the day, provided a much-needed service for bargees and their families, and in later years, hostelries and golden liquid consuming stations for walkers, tourists, boaters and the local inhabitants. Unfortunately, not all survived. The bridge inn at Copmanhay was one of those sadly missed pubs. Although there have been plans to redevelop the area with housing, at the time of writing, June of 2022, little or nothing appears to have been achieved, as yet. Leaving Ilkeston behind, the canal takes an ever-increasingly rural route northwards towards the Langley Mill basin. One of the main reasons for the commercial demise of the canal was progress, in the form of the Midland Railway Erewash Valley line, which still today carries a huge amount of freight and a not insignificant number of passengers. A pair of narrowboats could carry about 70 tonnes at a walking pace, while the modern train can haul many wagons, each of which can carry over 70 tonnes and do so at 50 or 60 miles an hour. Although, to be honest, the railway is nothing like as picturesque as the canal. Pressing on, the three intrepid explorers head north. Yes, I did say three. At Shipley Lock, the canal, which will appear in blue any time now, fed a significant wharf as late as 1942, where tramways would bring coal from the mines, mainly owned by the Miller-Munday family of Shipley Hall, to be transferred to the barges for their journeys to the towns and cities, which was indeed the original intent for the construction of the waterway. Shipley Lock provides some great views of the Erewash Valley and the all-dominating Winston, the turbine at the pumping station. Also, it's home to MFN, Miles from Nowhere, a club and rock venue which lives up to its name, being isolated from most of the surrounding inhabitants. Eastwood Lock is another of those one-time industrial hubs where tramways once unloaded coal from the pits in the Eastwood area onto the narrowboats and butties. By the end, there were no less than two railway companies serving the colliery, the Midland Railway Eastwood branch and the Great Northern Pinxton branch, both of which had spurs to the mine. Some traces of these railways still exist today, in the form of bridge plinths that still survive. Here we're approaching the urban metropolis that is Langley Mill, which is now just another Derbyshire town. But in the 18th and 19th centuries, this was a major transport hub. It is in this basin that three major waterways met, which will now obligingly turn blue in sequence. The Cromford Canal, the Nottingham Canal, there's a link in the description to a previous video, and last but by no means least, the Erewash Canal, forming a link between Cromford, Nottingham, Derby, Leicester, the major port complex at Shardlow, the rivers Soar and Trent, and ultimately anywhere in the world. This was a significant place to be in the 18th and 19th centuries. Well, weary traveller, we come to the end of this, the longest project which I have as yet undertaken. I hope that you enjoyed it and found it interesting and maybe even informative. I know that I have. Please take the time to go to the YouTube channel if you aren't already on it, like and subscribe in order not to miss any new videos, and even comment if you so wish. It all helps drive the algorithms, and with any luck we'll meet up again next time for another tale from the Owl. Until then, look after yourself.